Hey, what's going on? Daniel from D7Cs. Today I'm really excited because I got another Koenig into the mix. Now this is a model that I've never tried before. I've had several Koenig knives, several Ariuses, mini Ariuses, but this one is definitely unique. So let's open it up, see what we got. There you go, the Mini Goblin. Now this is a Mini Goblin 2. They put out the original mini Goblin. I want to say maybe about, I don't know, 8-10 years ago. Maybe, I don't know. My timeline might be off, but as you can see, this is from the latest drop. They've been dropping a lot of these mini Goblin 2, so I'm super excited. Now this is definitely a first impressions unboxing video, and I'm gonna tell you kind of my thoughts on it real quick. Okay, so let's put that to the side. Of course, the certificate of authenticity, and it's going to come in wrapped in this microfiber cloth. And there you go, star of the show. So let's go and put this aside and see what we got here. Now, man, the first time I saw the Mini Goblin, I was like really intrigued. You know, it's definitely a very unique looking knife. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't look like a traditional knife, right? But anyways, let's open her up. Man, of course, that Koenig action. There is just nothing quite like a Koenig action. Okay, so I actually already been kind of handling this knife. I carried it once, and this is going to a new home, and I'll tell you why. But first of all, before I do, I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick size comparison, because honestly one of the challenges that I had when I was looking at this knife was like, how big or how small is this Mini Goblin? Is it a small knife? Is it a medium size EDC? What is it? So I'm gonna do some quick size comparisons, you know, especially for any of you guys that are maybe looking to pick this guy up. It might give you some perspective. So we got the Chris Reeve large sub 21, and man, just putting it butt to butt, you got a good man, like an inch, you know, over the Mini Goblin. Let me bring out one of my, quickly it's become one of my favorite EDCs, the Holt Morpheus. This thing is a phenomenal knife, and it's by no means a big knife. It's I would say probably mid to small EDC size, and even that, the Mini Goblin is smaller by probably a 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch smaller than the Holt Morpheus. Let me bring out another of my favorites, the Brown Cortex XL, and definitely it is, man, like again, a good inch over the Mini Goblin. Last but not least, oh man, this is a staple in my collection, the Skiff Fugitive. And yes, as you can see, this is a small EDC. Now, I want to say it's definitely small, but it's a mighty. Small but mighty, as you can say, right? Because the build quality is top notch. It actually feels very robust in the hand, and I think the reason why is because it's actually, I would say it's a thicker knife in terms of the handle profile. If I line it up against the Skiff Fugitive, is almost, it might actually be a little thicker than the Fugitive. If I bring out the large 7-21, see, it's definitely thicker than the 21. It's definitely gonna be thicker than the Cortex XL, because this knife is definitely, it's a slimmer profile for sure. But there you go. Last but not least, the Holt Morpheus. I would say, I don't know, maybe the Holt Morpheus is a little, I don't know. They're very, very, I think, comparable. But yeah, even though it is a small EDC, it does have some girth, so it feels like a tank. It doesn't feel fragile. It doesn't feel like, you know, a tiny knife. It feels actually pretty robust. You know, the action, oh, of course, the Koenig action is just, to me, that's the bar. To me, that's become the standard where I judge all other knives. Koenig really does their action and their detent right, man. Their detent is absolutely dialed in. Boom. I mean, it is just so dialed in. There is no movement in any direction. And when I use that flipper tab, it just flies out with authority. I mean, what you can expect from Koenig, man, it's perfection. I mean, their action, acoustic is pretty cool. I mean, nothing to write home about in terms of the acoustics. Comparing that to the Cortex XL acoustics are phenomenal. The whole Morpheus acoustic is just top of the line, man. But yeah, okay, so let me tell you why this knife is moving on, and really the only reason why is because it feels a little awkward in the hand. And this, I have like medium sized hands, and I do have just enough real estate to get all four fingers on the handle. But it feels a little bit more comfortable if I use that large sharpening / finger choil. This feels a little bit more comfortable, but still feels a little bit awkward. And I think it's because this handle profile is definitely unique. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of used to like more of this neutral kind of handle shape where it accommodates different kind of grip positions and styles and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a very neutral handle shape, and I realized that a lot of my knives are very neutral handle shaped knives. You know what I'm saying? Because I like that versatility. I like to have those options to be able to hold my knife in different grips depending on the task. You know what I'm saying? But the Mini Goblin's handle profile is interesting. And so it feels a little bit funky in my hand. And it might only be me, to be honest. I haven't heard anyone else complain or point that out. So literally, I might be the only person talking about this. But there you go. To me, it's not the most ergonomic knife, And Koenig, I think for me, I've really come to relate Koenig knives with ergonomics because the Arius is to me one of the most ergonomic knives I've ever had. Both the full size Arius and the mini Arius, and so I think I was expecting kind of that similar ergonomic feel, even though definitely visually it looks drastically different. So once I got it in hand, I was like, oh, this is very interesting. It's definitely not like crazy uncomfortable at all. I'm not saying this is like an uncomfortable knife to hold. It just feels kind of awkward. Like this portion, it feels like something's missing, obviously, right? But yeah, just in the hand, it just feels a little bit like I'm just kind of hanging, I'm just hanging off. My pinky's just kind of like hanging off a little bit, you know what I'm saying? It just feels like there's something missing. That's all I could. That's the best way I could explain it. Objectively, this is a phenomenal knife. I mean, it has everything that you look for in a Koenig knife. Okay, like the build quality is absolutely there. I think visually it looks really interesting. That's why I was really drawn to this knife. I think really the design aesthetic is definitely purposeful. And yeah, like objectively, it is a phenomenal knife. So I think the question is, who is this knife for, right? I think it's for that knife enthusiast that is looking for a small but mighty EDC. All right. If you're the type of EDC user that likes small knives that can really pack a punch well above its weight, then I'd say the Mini Goblin 2 is a great contender. If you're like me that likes to do a lot of this pinch grip draw cutting, then this knife I think is perfect for that. This Warncliffe style blade is definitely geared towards that. I would say, it has a really nice fine tip. So if you do a lot of like digging with your tip, I'd say this knife is perfect for that. So yeah, and of course, if you love a phenomenal action, then man, you cannot go wrong with Koenig. Koenig knives, their action is just, to me, that's become the standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Koenig has really become the standard where I judge all other knives on, and I've definitely handled knives that exceed this baseline, but to me, like in today's like knife community, Koenig really has checked all my boxes. It has everything that I'm looking for: ergonomics, acoustics, action, visual aesthetic, build quality, a great community around this brand. A really solid guy, from at least from the stuff that I've seen. Solid, maker Bill Koenig seems to be a really solid dude. Their customer service seems to be on point. So I mean, they do most, if not all, things very, very right. But at least for me, the Mini Goblin 2 just I think it's like almost there for me. I would say it's like 90% there for me. But in terms of the ergonomic department, it just came a little short for me. Again, I literally have not heard anyone else point that out, so it's probably just me. You know what I'm saying? But thankfully, this is moving on to its new home, and I'm very grateful that I'm actually gonna get a Mini Arius non-flipper into the mix very soon. And I think honestly that knife will fit the bill for me a little bit more, because I've had several Mini Ariuses and it just feels very, very good in the hand. But my only kind of thing with the Mini Arius was that flipper tab. So to have a non-flipper come into the mix, I think that's going to be literally EDC perfection for me. But again, I would say if you're very curious about trying the Mini Goblin, I say go for it, because I'm really, really glad that I got to try it out. It's a phenomenal knife. It really is. I think objectively speaking, this is a phenomenal knife. But I think for me, just ergonomically, I think the way my hand is designed, maybe it just didn't really feel super, super ergonomic. So I'm sending it to its new home, and I hope that it gets carried and used, because I was not able to do so. And that's my philosophy, you know what I'm saying? If I'm not going to be carrying it or using it, then to me it's better to send it off to someone else that's actually going to do that, because my thing is that you don't really truly get to appreciate and know a knife until you actually carry it and use it, you know what I'm saying? If I'm just kind of letting it sit in a case somewhere, to me it's just like kind of sad, because really at the end of the day, like all these phenomenal knives, it's just they're tools, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, some of them are definitely like art knives, but I don't really have any of those in my collection. To me, I would rather get a knife into my rotation that I'm that I'm not afraid to use and carry, like this beautiful large 21, man. This thing has seen some days, man, and it is still cracking. So there you go. Those are my initial first impressions, thoughts on this knife. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not going to be able to do a full-on review because this is already going to its new home. But I just thought I'd share my 2 cents, because I don't really see a lot of videos on the Mini Goblin 2, to be honest. I think that I literally seen one from Everyday Blades. I think that's the guy. He did a really cool video on the Mini Goblin 2. So I thought I'd just kind of throw my 2 cents in there. Phenomenal knife, just not for me. So there you go. I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, questions down below. If you like what you're watching, feel free to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. With that being said, I hope you have a rest of a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.